Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday, I think it is. Okay, so I wanted to come live with you all again this week to give you my health update, to talk about all things self-love and self-acceptance. So if you are here with me, go ahead and say hi. And if you are watching the replay, go ahead and hashtag replay. I'm going to pull up the comments and stuff on my phone. Okay. So I made a post yesterday about how the last year and a half has just been so incredibly challenging with the things going on with my health and how basically my whole life was upheaval because of the way that I felt, and nothing felt good to me, nothing felt, familiar. And so it just caused me a lot of trouble, right? And so I want to talk about kind of what that journey has been like and how it actually helped me deepen the way that I value myself and the love that I have for myself, right? So again, for those of you who are new to my world or you don't know what's been going on, is I, about a year and a half ago, I started experiencing symptoms of extreme fatigue, nausea, migraines, GI issues, sleep stuff like insomnia, cold sensitivity, my face is puffy, inflammation, all of the things, right? And thank God, one of my clients, reached out to me and she was like, have you looked into breast implant illness? Because I got breast implants when I was 20 years old, right? So I was in a really abusive relationship with my daughter's father, and he would always tell me, you are so disgusting. Nobody could ever love you because of your body. Your stretch marks are gross. I breastfed. So, he just told me everything about me was wrong, right? And I believed him because I already had such low self-esteem when we got together. And then being with him, he just tore me down as much as he possibly could with every name in the book, the things that he would do. And so when I was around 20, I ended up getting a breast augmentation. And at that time, nobody tells you that there's risks. In fact, my surgeon told me that it could actually prevent breast cancer, which is so fucking not true. And so I got my breast implants, and it was kind of like a running joke for a long time that I had a really bad memory. So people would say stuff, and I just never remembered. And so it was honestly this joke from everybody that I just had a really bad memory. And I thought oh, I used to, do a lot of drugs and alcohol. So I was like, maybe it's just from that. You know, 10 years later, I found out that that is actually a very common symptom of breast implant illness. And so my client reaches out to me. She says that I should look into this. And I do. Every symptom on the breast implant illness checklist, I pretty much have, right? I think I had over 30 symptoms or something. And so I took the action to look at surgeons, all the things. And what doctors and surgeons are not going to tell you is that the breast implants are the problem, unless you find somebody who's aligned, right? And so all these doctors and surgeons told me there's no way it could be the implants. Maybe if there was lint on the implants or something, that could be the thing, but it's not the implants. And I I didn't believe it. I was like, no, this feels it resonates with me that this is what it is. And so I found a surgeon who aligned with me. They talked about breast implant illness on their website and all the things. And so took the action, got my implants out in November of 2024. So I don't know, it's been what, 7 months and it's a major surgery, right? And so afterwards, I did improve quite a bit, right? So a lot of my insomnia, like I felt like my brain was burning a lot of the time. That went away. I wasn't as nauseous, and I felt like the inflammation has gone down. My face is not as puffy as it was. My nausea is not as severe. However, I still experience, chronic fatigue. Like my body is healing, right? And I'm still experiencing, nausea. Like I swear, um, the majority of the last year and a half, like no, the majority of like the year, the only thing that I felt good eating was McDonald's chicken nuggets. Like no joke, before this, I ate healthy and all the things and like to move my body. So McDonald's chicken nuggets was like my safe food, right? And so throughout this journey, I mentioned in my post yesterday, I gained 15 pounds. My face doesn't look the same as it did before. My body doesn't look the same as it did before. And, I wasn't able to work out. Like if I tried to work out, even like, a fast 20-minute walk, I would, I would get chronic fatigue and I'd be down for like a week. And then I went to the gym and tried to work out, and it took me down for like 3 weeks. And so I realized, okay, I can't work out. Like I can't, the only thing that I could do was 5 minute or like, I mean, now I'm up to, 15, 20 minutes, but I could do like 5 minutes around the block at a very slow pace. And that's the only thing that I could do. And so it was really hard for me because again, I couldn't go hiking, which I absolutely love to do. I couldn't do yoga. I couldn't build any muscle. So my body changed, which was really, really hard for me. I went from feeling, super confident in my body and the weight that I was at, the muscle tone that I had. I was very happy with where I was. And so my body began to change, my face began to change. I didn't feel sexy. My libido was essentially gone. I just most of the days I just spent on the couch, right? And so this really frustrated me because I got engaged to the man of my dreams. We moved into our dream home, and I had this vision of my fiance era going differently. Like I wanted to be able to feel sexy and all of these things, and just, flirty and all the things that I just didn't feel. Right. And so, like, I try to make myself feel them. I try to get in the mood. But the thing is like, I just kept trying to change how I felt. Right. And so, all the things that brought me comfort of the way that I showed up, the way that I felt, the way that I looked, the things that I did for fun. All of that was essentially stripped away. And at first, for a while, I fought it, and I fought it a lot. Like I tried to lose the weight. I tried to eat in a bit of a restrictive way, not in like a disordered eating way, but like my body was really trying to heal and I needed more nutrients. I needed more calories. But I would, try to eat in a deficit, which did not help my hormones and all the things, right? So it was this internal battle that I was having with myself where I was like, just hurry up and heal already because I'm ready to, you know, do more again, and I'm ready to, feel this way again, and I want my life to look this way, and I have all these goals that I have to succeed at, and all these things, right? And so me trying to fight where I was at was making it exponentially worse. Okay. And I feel like that happens with a lot of us, right? We think that we should be different. We think that we should feel different and all of the things. And so we try to push it when in reality, our body and our intuition is saying to stop and to slow down, right? And so I had to reevaluate my relationship with myself because I couldn't just show up as I could before. If, in case you hadn't noticed, I didn't go live as much over this past year and a half. I used to go live almost like every week, but when you don't feel good, you don't want to come on camera. And I didn't feel like I, was just at a place where I could come live every day and all of the things, right? And so I had to come to this place where I decided to stop trying to change how I felt and where I stopped trying to change what I was doing. I accepted that the most I could do was coach my clients, lay on the couch throughout my day. And the beautiful thing about that is because of all the healing work that I had done before for self acceptance, for healing my rejection and abandonment wounds, for healing my performative nature. Not to say that it was perfect, but that did a lot of the work for me. And it really allowed me to see I am so valuable without having to do all these other things. Right. So, in some of my darkest, troubling times during this past year and a half, we moved into our dream home. Mike proposed to me, and he didn't propose to me because I was like my sexiest, flirtiest self. He proposed to me because I am who I am. And that's what this journey really continued to show me over and over and over again, is that I did not have to be anything different in order to be loved. And I think that is really healing for a lot of people because we feel like we have to be different. We feel like we have to perform, that we have to look a certain way, that we have to act a certain way, that we have to be a certain way that is other than what our authentic essence is, right? And so this whole journey just caused me to continue to realize how valuable I am for where I'm at. Again, I spent so much of my time the last year and a half on the couch. And so I wasn't doing the things that lit me up. I didn't live a romanticized life. Did I do that before? Yes. And it was very important. It did a lot for my healing journey and my relationship to myself. And I do suggest with my clients, live a romanticized life and make every moment special. I could not do that this year. I couldn't. And guess what? I still deserved to be loved. I still got engaged to the love of my life. Mike still loves me deeply. I still outdid my business in 2024. I outdid my business 2023 and 2024. Clients were still attracted to me. A lot of people were like, I can't even tell. And it's because I decided to be okay with me. And when you're performative, when you put on this mask, when you try to be something, that is not you. And so when you have, messy moments in your life, you're not going to be able to hold that mask for very long. Right? And maybe you've experienced that where it's like you just can't perform anymore. You're exhausted. And that's a good thing, because that means that you are learning how to be you without that mask that you're showing to everybody else. And the thing is, those of us who have struggled with perfectionism, myself included, we think that we have to have our lives look perfect before we can call in our epic love affair. We feel like we have to feel perfect. We have to be happy go lucky, that we have to all of these things, right? And it's simply not true. What's true is that you need to allow yourself to be who you are without making yourself wrong. Feel how you feel without making yourself wrong. And there's a nuance to this, is you want to strive towards being the best version of yourself. But when you feel sad, when you feel frustrated, when you feel exhausted, not making stories about yourself and not making yourself wrong. So when I was going through all of this, I didn't look at my body and say, oh my gosh, you're disgusting. Did I try to change it at first? Yeah. But I never said, you are disgusting. And that's stuff that I used to tell myself all the time, like, oh my gosh, you're so ugly, you're disgusting. Why do you look like that? Why does your stomach look like that? I look at your stretch marks, all the things, right? I was so ruthless to myself. And this time around, it's really just stretched my capacity to love myself, because me being in my body as I am right now, I can say, I love myself. I love the cellulite that I have on my legs. At first, I did not. And it's been a practice to say, I love that about me. It's been a struggle to say, I love the extra 15 pounds that I put on, but I'm willing to continue to tell myself, I'm learning to love you here. I accept you here. You are perfect here. You do not need to change. And it's been a struggle to look at all of these goals that I had for the last year and a half and not meet them and say, this is absolutely perfect. This is absolutely perfect. You, where you're at is perfect. And I love you for that. And it's okay that you didn't, triple your income and go on, all your vacations and do this and do that and all the things. That is perfectly okay. And the most beautiful paradox ever is like, until you can accept where you are, then can you change. This was a life changing realization for me that I realized years ago when I kept trying to change my relationship status. And maybe you can relate with this. I kept trying to change my relationship status. I kept trying to get into relationships, trying to get into relationships because I could not accept that I was single, that I was a single mom, and that my daughter wasn't going to have a dad. Couldn't accept it. So I kept trying to change it over and over and over and over again. So I would go to the donuts for dads things. I would go to the muffins for moms things. I would go to my daughter's recitals and I would hate it because I'm like, oh, this sucks. This should be different, yada, yada, yada. And it wasn't until I learned to love being where I was at that I could have a healthy relationship. Because when you can learn to love where you're at, you are going to be a lot choosier about what you let in, right? So before I had no standards, I would just kind of jump into whatever relationship because I didn't want to be single. When I learned to love being single and when I learned to love myself exactly where I was at, and again, it's going to be a journey for you. Just like I said, like this whole year and a half was a whole nother layer of me learning how to love myself without all the things that made me comfortable. Right. And so, I learned to love to be single. And when I would go to my daughter's recitals and stuff by myself, I learned to love it. And when I would go out to eat with her by myself, I would love it. And again, it's not easy. It's not like you're just saying, oh, I love it. And it happens. It is a practice for sure. And being where you're at with maybe the weight that you are and being where you're at with, the way that you feel and what's happening in your life, practice loving it now. Because only then, when you finally fucking accept it, can it begin to change. And that's the most beautiful thing in the world because it's like, that's when your surrender, like you've just surrendered it. You stop fighting it because why we're all so exhausted is because we keep trying to fight where we're at. And so I've had to have a lot of talks with myself over the last year and a half where I'm saying, I love you here. And this is perfect. And nothing has gone wrong. And these hard times show you what you're really made of. And it shows you where you need to change things up. Okay. So what I also learned through this year and a half is, I was always an overgiver, overdoer, masculine energy in love, right? I healed that. But also, I didn't heal, how they say, like, the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And so, did I heal that in my relationships? But yes, but not everywhere in my life, right? And so, there are places where I overgave in my business. I put other people's needs ahead of my own. And I was giving a lot more than what was healthy for me and what was aligned for me. And so, guess what? Your physical body, any dis-ease or illness that you have, this is what I believe, is associated with an emotion, right? And it teaches you what needs to change. And so when I got sick, I could no longer overgive and overdo and overextend. And that and I couldn't keep rushing around and I couldn't keep doing all these things, right? And so it really allowed me to see, where I was overgiving, where I was overextending, where I wasn't listening to myself. And I'm so grateful for that lesson because, again, things are going to happen until like these little yellow flags are going to happen. And if you don't recognize these yellow flags, you're going to get hit with a red flag and you're going to get hit in the face. And I have reached that a million times where God and the universe is saying, slow down, pay attention. Morgan, you're doing this. Stop doing this. And then you don't listen. And then shit breaks down. Okay. And so the quicker we can realize that, and again, like, let me know if this resonates with you. You probably experienced this with your relationships, right? So I'll tell you a cute little story of when I was dating somebody, emotionally unavailable guy for 3 years. And it got to a point where I knew that this was not a good thing for me anymore. I would always feel like shit after we hung out. He treated me nicely, and we did, things that you should definitely reserve for your partner, like, certain vacations we went on, talk on the phone for hours, all of these things, right? And I got to this point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I'd block him and then I'd unblock him. I'd block him and then I'd unblock him. And it got to a point where I got into a few car accidents, one on the way back from going to see him because he lived in another state. So that happened. And then I kept not getting the message, right? And then after I went to see him another time, I got really, really sick. And I ended up getting like some kind of, I can't remember, some kind of illness that I was put on bed rest for an entire month. And so it was like all these things, and my body was screaming out, my intuition was screaming out, and I wasn't paying attention. And then it was like, okay, I fucking get it. Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. So if you're going through this right now, just look at where these things are popping up because chances are you already know what it is. You already know what you shouldn't be doing. I don't want to say shouldn't. You already know what is out of alignment with you, but you keep doing it. Right. And so instead of fighting against it and making yourself wrong and making the situation wrong, you say, okay, this is perfect. This is perfect. Everything I'm going through is perfect. Again, I had to have this conversation with myself in my journal yesterday where I said, everything's perfect. Nothing has gone wrong. Everything is perfect. What do I need to learn from this? And it's really hard to do when you're in it, when your nervous system is dysregulated and you're fighting against it, you're pushing against it. It's just, sometimes it's just really hard to see it when you're in it. But if you can kind of slow down and start analyzing, chances are you're going to see it. Right. And coming back to, self-acceptance and self-love, it's loving yourself where you're at, believing that you deserve to be loved for who you are, not what you can do for other people, and just recognizing that you are. So one thing that I tell all my clients is, what do you bring to the table without you having to do anything? And this is always a hard question for my clients, but very transformative because they recognize that, oh, wow, like I'm a really caring person. That in itself is something that you bring to the table without you having to perform. That is something natural for you. I had this conversation with a client yesterday. By the way, I was on the phone with my client yesterday. I made a post about it, how she came to me to heal from narcissistic abuse. and childhood trauma that caused her to pick horrible partners. And we've been working together for 8 months. She was not ready to date when she came to me. So this wasn't about her finding her ideal person, but now we're working on it, which is exciting. But she healed the relationship with herself. She realized what she brought to the table and how much value she truly, truly has just by being her. She lost 20 pounds. She had the weight because she was trying to protect herself, right? She was trying to protect herself. Um, and she manifested her dream home. And what else happened? I can't remember, but also she's now ready to start dating, which I'm very excited about. So anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, okay. So knowing what you bring to the table without you having to do anything, right? And so for me, what I bring to the table is I'm funny. That is, my natural strength. I love to make people laugh, and it's not performative. I mean, in childhood, for sure, it was. I was the youngest of five, and I felt like, I was I was just the funny younger sister, and that was the way that I got attention, right? But it is actually like a natural thing that comes naturally to me that I absolutely love about myself. And I'm always making Mike laugh. Like, like I told him, I was like, you are never going to be bored. Because that's just who I am. And so when I mentioned in my post yesterday, like Mike couldn't even tell how sick I was because my essence never changed. Like, still funny, still, me, just me at my being. And so I bring to the table without me having to do anything for anybody, just my natural essence is I'm funny, I'm empathetic, I am loyal, I am resilient, I am solution oriented, I am growth minded, I am reflective. Like there's so many things I could go on all day because I've done this work. Because um, before I didn't think that I was valuable at all. Like if you guys could have just known me 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and who I am now, completely different people. I didn't see my value in anything. I was depressed. I was anxious. I, would settle for just about anybody. And I was such a victim to my life. And I was a martyr and all this stuff. That was never who I was. Okay. So when you do the healing work that I've done and what I teach my clients is your authentic essence shines through and you become who you are. So no matter if you're in a season of messiness or a tough season in your life, you will be that person because you learned how to channel it and come home to yourself without all these protection mechanisms going on, right? Because my murderism, I don't think that's the right word, but you guys get it. My cynicism and, my victim mentality, all of that was a coping mechanism to protect my heart, right? When you heal, all of that begins to fall away, and then what you're left with is you. Again, doesn't mean you're perfect, doesn't mean that you won't slip back into things every now and again, because you are a human being and that will happen. I slip into things, everybody does, right? So that's what happens. And that's why, even though I've been sick as hell, and even the days that I felt insecure, even the days that I didn't feel good enough, even though, I was going through all of these things and it was basically like an identity crisis of like, who am I without these things? I was still able to be loved by my partner and our relationship didn't change. And I was still able to coach my clients and have my clients could tell you they never even realized that anything was off if I didn't say anything. Because that is who I am. That is my natural way of being, is being able to help people through their shit, see the blind spots, and then help them move and change into, the goal that they're trying to have. Um, and so by being able to recognize who you are at your core, what you bring to the table, not from a place of I have to overdo or overgive because I don't feel good enough, but like these things are just so looked over because it comes so naturally. You don't think that they're special. Like my client yesterday, who was like, I'm a caring person, but like that just comes easily. I'm like, yeah, that's your fucking magnetism, like right there. That is your magnetism. That is what makes you special. And again, like I've had clients where they're like, yeah, but like everybody has, like a lot of people have this quality. It's not special. And so I gave my other client a kind of like a example of like, think about all the actors in the industry. All of them have really great similar qualities, but they're chosen for different roles, right? And just because one is chosen over the other doesn't mean that they're not good enough. It means that there's just another person for the role, but they have similar qualities, but they're unique in their own different way, right? So being able to recognize your natural magnetism, your natural gifts, who you are at your core, the beautiful, amazing qualities about yourself that you probably try to hide. That is what makes you magnetic. That is what makes other people just be drawn to you. Again, you don't have to be in a perfect mood all the time to have this happen. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be on. When you can accept and love yourself for where you're at, people feel comfortable with you. They feel at home with you because if you can accept where you're at, your messiness, your flaws, your quirks, all the things, then people feel safe with you. They feel that permission slip to be themselves around you. So think about this. When you have been around somebody who has tried to be perfect, we've all been around somebody who's tried to be perfect, or we feel like, you know, they are performative, right? You truly can't feel close with that person, right? It's like you don't feel the depth. And then think about when you've been around somebody who is completely and utterly themselves and they don't give a shit. And it's the most freeing thing in the world. And it's probably triggering as well. But when you see somebody just be completely who they are, unapologetically, doesn't it make you feel like you have the permission to do that as well? So that's the beauty of being able to accept yourself for where you're at, not trying to change it, not trying to, you know, perform out of it, not making yourself wrong for it. That's the beauty of it. Is people feel safe around you when you can just be you in your messiness, in your dark times, and all the things. Like it's the most refreshing thing in the world when I hear other coaches talk about the struggles that they're going through. It makes me feel so much safer because I'm like, okay, other people feel this way too, right? And then it gives me more permission to feel the way that I'm feeling. And so it's that beautiful ripple effect. So when you are okay with how you're feeling, and without making anyone wrong, without blaming and shaming and all the things, but you can just feel the way that you feel and be honest about the way that you feel. That's your natural magnetism. People are drawn to that. People will feel your heart. And that is what makes men fall in love with you, to be honest. It really is like your ability to feel your sadness, your happiness, your tough times, all the things without being reactive to somebody else. Like that's what allows people to love you. Right. And so this has just been a deeper experience for myself to love myself even deeper than I had before, just for me being me without, doing all the things that I was doing before. Okay, so I even had someone say to me, they're like, and those people in your life that just don't have a filter and you kind of just have to brush them off. They were like, wow, like, Mike thought he was getting all of this, but now he's getting this instead. And I was like, okay, like, thank you for saying that. That is great because that was my fear. But honestly, it's like, no, you're going to have seasons in your life. And when you are with somebody long term, they're going to see you in all seasons, the best seasons, the worst seasons, the whatever it is. And your ability to accept yourself there and love yourself there will allow you and that person to thrive. So I feel like I went kind of all over the place today, but I hope whoever needed to hear this, to see this, to know that like you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be on. You don't have to like I literally for this last year and a half, I watched so much TV, you guys. I ate so many chicken nuggets. Like and I'm still lovable. And my partner loves me, my daughter loves me, my friends love me, my clients love me, and that's just it. So I hope that that's helpful. And I hope that this resonates with you. And that just allows you to take like a big exhale and reflect on this and just know that you can be loved for exactly as you are. Okay. I love you. Bye, everyone.